"She's useless. She always has been," my sister said in open court, loud enough for everyone to hear. I kept my eyes down. Then someone I didn't recognize stood up behind me. "My name is Olivia Grant. I'm 33 years old. I work as a freelance copywriter, mostly remote contracts and small business clients. I write website copy, marketing emails, product descriptions. It's steady work, but my family never considered it real." My sister, Claire, works in finance and loves reminding everyone about it. Growing up, she was the one they always praised, the smart one, the capable one. I was just the quiet one with creative hobbies. After our mother passed away last year, things shifted. Mom left behind modest savings and a small rental property in the suburbs. Nothing extravagant, but enough to matter. Claire immediately assumed she'd handle everything. When I asked to review the estate documents, she actually laughed. She called me useless right there at the lawyer's office, said I wouldn't understand the paperwork anyway. I wasn't flashy or powerful. I didn't have a corner office or business card with impressive titles, but I paid attention. I always had, more than they realized. If someone ever dismissed your career or called you incapable, please subscribe. If you've been underestimated by your own family, share your story in the comments. Click like or hype before we continue, because this one starts ugly. The probate court hearing was held in a small courthouse downtown. The smell of old carpet and lemon cleaner filled the waiting area. Claire had petitioned to become the sole executor of Mom's estate, claiming I lacked the financial understanding to handle anything meaningful. We sat on opposite sides of a wooden table while the judge reviewed paperwork. Extended family members filled the benches behind us, aunts, uncles, a few cousins. Claire stood up when it was her turn to speak. "Your Honor, my sister doesn't even know how property taxes work," she said confidently. Someone behind me, I think it was our cousin Rachel, actually laughed. I felt my face go hot. I requested access to full financial disclosure of all estate accounts. Claire immediately accused me of delaying the process just to get attention. "She's always been dramatic," she told the judge. "This is just her way of staying relevant." The judge warned both of us to stay civil and focus on facts. Claire presented bank summaries, but they looked incomplete to me. Certain months were missing. Transactions seemed oddly selective. I noticed it immediately because I review financial documents for clients all the time. Part of my copywriting work involves simplifying complex information. I know what complete records look like. I raised my hand and pointed out the gaps. Claire waved it off, saying those months were irrelevant, and the judge could verify with the bank later. The judge scheduled a follow-up hearing for final decision in 3 weeks. As we left the courtroom, I heard family members whispering. They were siding with Claire, completely. The public humiliation stayed with me for days. Then things got worse. The first betrayal came 2 days after the hearing. Claire removed me from shared access to the estate documents. I tried to log into the online portal we'd set up to review Mom's accounts. Access denied. When I called her, she told me I was too emotional to handle sensitive information. The second betrayal happened a week later when I started hearing from relatives. Apparently, Claire had been calling everyone, telling me I was trying to sabotage Mom's legacy, that I was being greedy and difficult, that I didn't care about honoring my mother's wishes. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years were suddenly texting me asking why I was making things so complicated. The third betrayal was the worst. I received a formal notice in the mail that the rental property, the small house Mom kept for extra income, was being prepared for sale. There were already realtor photos attached. Claire had listed it without my approval, without even telling me. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the listing photos, my hands shaking. But instead of calling her, instead of confronting her or posting about it online, I did something different. I began requesting official bank records independently. I went directly to the bank with Mom's death certificate and my identification as a listed beneficiary. They gave me access to complete statements, 6 months of transactions, and that's when I saw them. Irregular withdrawals in the final months before Mom died, large transfers, each one labeled consulting fees, $15,000 here, $20,000 there, all going to an account I didn't recognize. The timing was suspicious. These transfers happened during the last 2 months before Mom died, when she was in and out of the hospital, barely conscious. My suspicion grew into certainty, but I didn't confront Claire. I didn't send angry texts or demand explanations. I just waited. I organized the statements, I highlighted the irregular transactions, and I waited for the final court session. What Claire didn't know, what nobody in my family knew, was that one of my freelance clients was a forensic accountant. His name was David Chen, and I'd been writing website content for his firm for about 8 months. A few months earlier, while we were casually reviewing some tax document wording for his site, I'd mentioned that I was dealing with estate paperwork for my mom. I'd shared some redacted financial statements with him just to make sure I was using the right terminology in his content. He's detail-oriented, the kind of person who notices patterns in numbers the way I notice patterns in language. He started asking me very specific questions about the estate accounts, about timing, about who had access. A week later, he called me. "Olivia, there's something here you're not seeing," he said carefully. "I can't say for certain without full records, but these transfers don't look right." He offered to prepare an independent financial summary if I could get him complete bank statements. I did. He worked quietly for 2 weeks, analyzing everything with the precision that made him so good at his job. He prepared a certified report, professional, detailed, damning. I didn't file it with the court yet. I didn't mention it to Claire or the lawyer. I just let her continue confidently, thinking she'd already won. The person who helped me the most during all of this wasn't someone I expected. My cousin Ethan had never fit into our family's hierarchy either. He worked as a graphic designer, another creative career that got dismissed at family gatherings. He'd always been kind to me, the black sheep who understood what it felt like to be overlooked. A week before the final hearing, Ethan reached out privately. He'd been copied on some email exchanges that Claire had sent to family members, emails where she mentioned temporary transfers she'd made from Mom's account before probate even started. She described them as estate management in the emails. Ethan quietly forwarded them all to me. I added them to my timeline. Meanwhile, Claire was growing more arrogant by the day. She told people the final court hearing was just a formality, that the judge would obviously confirm her as executor. She even posted on social media about handling family responsibilities and stepping up when others won't. The final hearing date was set for a Friday morning. I didn't sleep much the night before, but I wasn't nervous. I was ready. The courtroom smelled different this time. Coffee and paper. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. More family members showed up for the final session. They wanted to see it concluded. Claire sat confidently at the petitioner's table, her lawyer beside her. I sat alone on the other side. The judge called the session to order and asked if there were any final objections before confirming the executor appointment. Claire stood and repeated her claim that I lacked financial competence, that I was too emotional to handle estate matters responsibly, that the court should confirm her as sole executor so the estate could finally be settled. The judge nodded, reviewing his notes. He looked like he was preparing to confirm her petition. Then something happened. A man I didn't recognize stood up from the gallery seating in the back. He was wearing a suit, carrying a briefcase. "Your Honor, may I approach?" The judge looked surprised, but gestured him forward. The man introduced himself as David Chen, a forensic accountant retained independently to review the estate's financial records. He walked to the clerk's desk and handed over a sealed envelope. The clerk opened it and passed the contents to the judge. Inside was a certified financial reconstruction report, 20 pages, charts, highlighted transactions, timeline analysis. The judge began reading. The courtroom went silent. You could hear people shifting in their seats, the rustle of clothing, someone's phone buzzing on silent. The judge's expression changed. He looked up at Claire. Then he began reading portions of the summary aloud. Undocumented transfers from the estate account into a private LLC registered under Claire's name. Dates that matched exactly with our mother's final hospitalization period. Withdrawals made when Mom was on heavy medication and couldn't possibly have authorized anything. Claire tried to object. "Your Honor, those were legitimate estate expenses." But the judge held up his hand. These transfers occurred before probate was even opened, before any executor was appointed. He kept reading. The courtroom stayed silent. I didn't say a word. I just sat there, hands folded on the table, while the evidence spoke for itself. The judge suspended Claire's executor petition immediately, pending a formal investigation. He appointed a neutral third-party administrator to take temporary control of the estate. The rental property sale was halted with immediate effect. He scheduled a follow-up hearing in 60 days to determine if criminal charges should be referred. Claire's face went white. She started to say something, but her lawyer put a hand on her arm and shook his head. Family members in the gallery sat frozen. Nobody made eye contact with me as I gathered my papers. Claire left the courtroom without speaking, without looking at anyone. I walked outside into the cool afternoon air, the envelope from David still in my hand. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired and clear. Being underestimated gave me time to prepare, time to gather evidence while everyone assumed I was incapable of understanding what was happening. Silence wasn't weakness. It never had been. It was strategy. And sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who sees everything. If someone called you incapable while handling things behind your back, you understand exactly what this feels like. Underestimation can hide serious problems. Financial abuse happens in families more than people admit. Share your experience in the comments if you've been there. Subscribe if you believe documentation protects the quiet ones, the overlooked ones, the people everyone underestimates. Click hype to help this story reach others who need to hear it. You're not alone. Thank you so much for watching. If my story touched you in any way, a like would mean a lot to me. Click hype to help others find this story when they need it most. I read every single comment, so please feel free to share your experience with us. This is a safe space. Thank you for being here.